Good morning and welcome to Practical Christian Lessons. I am Joshua Pearsall, and we are going to be going through Wisdom of Sirach 31 today. I don't know why I suddenly turned into Star Trek and started pausing in between my words, but here we are. Go watch our video from this past Monday for some big announcements that are going to be impacting our summer schedule, at least for a few weeks, and just things moving forward, as well as a swing in our theological content as we finish up one thing and we're moving into another. Which is why our bookshelf is empty. Part of our bookshelf is empty and it's a little bit more spare as we're in the house moving process. I gotta check that out. You will also see now in the descriptions of these videos our huge resource that has come out recently, Learning, Living, and Defending the Faith, and a Discord that you can come in. It's built for equipping for resources to learn and study with, for spiritual development, tools you can take with you and then share in your own churches and your personal life, and take and go out into the world with those things. That is the hope and the goal for those. And we are going to get into Wisdom of Sirach 31 with my new glasses that have finally come in. And I should have gone to the eye doctor sooner. To anyone who's having issues with your eyes and you read a lot like me and your crooked head, just go to the eye doctor. Trust me. Wisdom of Sirach 31. Be wise with health. Losing sleep over wealth wastes away the body, and anxiety about health removes sleep. Sleepless anxiety will drive away slumber, and severe illness makes an end to sleep. A rich man labors to gather money, and when he rests, he fills himself with his luxuries. A poor man labors to make a meager living, and when he rests, he becomes needy. He who loves gold will not be called righteous, and he who pursues profit will be led astray by it. Many are driven to calamity for the sake of gold, and their destruction has met them face to face. It is a stumbling block for those possessed by it, and every senseless man will be trapped by it. Blessed is a rich man who is found blameless and does not chase after gold. Who is he? And we shall call him blessed. For he has worked wonders among his people, who has been tested by it and found perfect. He has ground for boasting. Who was able to transgress but did not transgress? Who was able to commit evil but did not do it? His good things will be strengthened, and the assembly will talk of his almsgiving. Are you seated at a table with a great man? Do not gluttonize, and do not say, how much food there is upon your table. Remember that a greedy eye is a vice. What has been created worse than the eye? Therefore it sheds tears on every face. Do not stretch out your hand for everything you see, and do not crowd another at the dish. Understand the things of your neighbor by your own, and in every matter be considerate. Eat what is set before you like a human being, and do not devour your food, lest you be despised. Be the first to stop eating for the sake of discipline, and do not be greedy, so as not to cause offense. And if you are seated in a large group of people, do not reach out your hand before they do. How small an amount is sufficient for a man with discipline, and he does not gasp for breath on his bed. Healthy sleep depends on moderate eating, and he rises early and in good spirits. But the distress of sleeplessness, nausea, and indigestion are with the glutton. If you are stuffed with food, get up in the middle of the meal and stop eating. Listen to me, my child, and do not disregard me, and you will find my words to be important. In all your works be prepared, and no sickness will overtake you. Lips will bless a generous man with his food, and their witness to his goodness is trustworthy. A city will grumble against the man stingy with his food, and their witness to his stinginess is accurate. Do not get your courage from wine, for wine has destroyed many men. As a furnace tests steel in the tempering process, so wine tests hearts in the quarrels of the arrogant. Wine is like life to men, if you drink it in moderation. What is life without wine? For it was created to give gladness to men. Wine drunk at the proper time and with temperance is joyfulness of heart and gladness of soul. Drinking too much wine is bitterness of soul, with irritation and occasion for stumbling and falling. Drunkenness increases the anger of a senseless man to his own heart, reducing his strength and adding to his wounds. Do not rebuke your neighbor at a wine party, and do not despise him when he is enjoying himself. Do not speak a word of insult against him, and do not afflict him by making demands of him. and that is wisdom of Sirach 31 today. And I think a lot of that just ties together really nicely. Of course, here it's talking about financial greed, and it's also talking about someone, and you see this a lot throughout really all of Second Temple literature, the Old Testament, the New Testament. You see a lot this critique of wealth and money and the influence it has on people. Right? Easier is it for a camel to go through the eye of a needle and a rich man to enter the kingdom. But of course, and as I know we've talked about this in the past, that doesn't mean wealth is a bad thing. That doesn't mean having money is a bad thing. That doesn't mean God's not blessing people with those things. Here, it talks about what happens when there is someone who has been blessed with that and isn't corrupted by it. That they don't seek it. They're not greedy. That they're not pursuing it with everything they have. They're not worried about it. And that they are giving with it. That they're known for their almsgiving, for their generosity. And that's a good thing. That's an encouraging thing. It's really nice to be aware of the problem, and it's nice to see writings that address what happens when it's being done well. And as I mentioned in the last time we talked about it, we do see it in the New Testament as well. Figures like, Phoebe, I want to say, who is the seller of purple cloth. I hope I'm getting the name right in before I got the wrong one, and will be critiqued forever on the internet for it. But just figures... Joseph, the wealthy individual who came after Jesus was crucified and said, "Hey, put him in my tomb." And it makes a very nice equation here about the food with that as well. Greed of food, as we can call it. Gluttony is certainly something I personally don't hear a lot about. I can't remember the last time I even heard gluttony brought up in church. But it's certainly something we should keep in mind. It's something that, especially when I'm stressed or I just have a lot going on, even if I'm not very stressed, because I don't get stressed super often, but when I do get stressed or when I just fill my schedule up, there just seems to be this much stronger temptation of gluttony at those times. And I mean, of course, that means it's a coping mechanism for me, which isn't good. Not that I engage it, but the temptation arises. There are certainly times I do not succeed and need to be called out for my gluttony. My wife, if you're watching this, just take the plate away from me. It's okay. Smash it on the ground. Actually don't, then we have to replace it. But that's something to keep in mind. And something to be on the lookout for. And tied into our yesterday's video, if you want to talk about church discipline, something we in the church also need to be comfortable with is when we see our brothers and sisters sinning, be ready to call them out and say, "Hey, you're going too far. You're sinning." If you're one of my friends who watches this, if you see me being a glutton or think I'm being a glutton, call me out on it. If I disagree with you, I'll say it. If I get angry and defensive, that means you were right, and don't let me forget it. But if I'm just like, I disagree, here's XYZ, then, maybe there's a different discussion. But if I get angry and defensive about it, I'm definitely in the wrong there. And that's probably a good sign for everybody. If you get called out, you need to be ready to be corrected as well. That's something we need to learn, to be ready to give correction and receive correction. If you get angry and defensive when you are being corrected, that's generally a good sign you are in fact in sin and need to correct it. Or at the very least, your heart is looking at it in the wrong way and you're viewing the critique incorrectly. So keep that in mind. But I do like how this ends with yes, drunkenness is bad, but wine isn't bad. Wine is a good thing. It is the fruit of the vine. And if you go through a lot of the old Jewish festivals, quite a few of them have a lot of wine. I haven't been to a proper Pascha. Not Pascha. I've been to a proper Pascha. A proper Purim. But I am aware of how much wine gets drunk at Purim. And I wore my glass for the entire thing. It's good. And man... It sounds like a wild time, but we see Jesus turn water into wine at the wedding. Wine is a good thing and something to be enjoyed. And it's just as it's something that can be abused, as with many good things. So there's our little sort of tie it all together for the day. Greed is bad. Gluttony is bad. Drunkenness is bad. But that does not mean the things that they are tied to are bad. It means the abuse of those things is bad. Money is not bad. It can be a blessing and can be used for great and good things. And we had a video on that earlier in this week. So please go watch that. It's going to be Wisdom of Sirach 29. Food is not bad. You need food to live. And feasts are not bad. Feasts are built into the Bible in the liturgical calendar for the year, just as there are times of fast built into our liturgical years. And it is not bad to have a feast, but it is bad to be gluttonous. And that is certainly something I think a lot of us in Western culture can really relate to. And then, of course, drunkenness is bad, but wine is not bad. It is okay to drink wine. You know, you're at a wedding, have a few drinks. You're celebrating a party, you're at a liturgical feast, enjoy the wine. Have a good time. It is fruit of the vine that God has given us to enjoy. And that is my message and my encouragement and my word for you all today. You guys have a wonderful day, and God bless.